Hey guys, real quick, I want to show you how I put up an 18 by 52 inch Intex above ground pool. Now this video is from bare ground, grading it a little bit, getting it level, adding the sand, and putting up the pool. And then tragedy. You'll see that shortly. Check it out. Once I determined the location of our pool, I got out the old tractor and scrape and started scraping. Didn't do a whole lot with the tractor at first other than knocking off the top layer of dirt and exposing a lot of roots and rocks that I was going to have to deal with by hand. The tractor did speed up the process quite a bit. So now I start chopping roots and then chopping more roots and then raking roots and rocks out of the way to determine the high spots and low spots and just how out of level it is. Okay, to get a level area here, I'm going to use a 2x4 with a level attached to it. Here's a spike I used. It's actually two large spikes that I welded together, and I welded a washer there on the bottom of this spike, which is like a nail, and I want to rest the 2x4 on that. Right now I have just made a slip knot there, and I have this at 11 feet. The pool is 18 feet. I wanted to mark out about 22 feet just to give me some extra room there. So I marked 11 feet, put a knot, and put a slip knot here on this as well. Tighten that up, and this will give me a rough way to mark it here, but I'm gonna go around and spray. So as you can see, I got a circle here. That's a 22-foot circle. I've got to put the 18-foot pool within that 22-foot circle. I just want to give a little buffer. It's a good way to mark your circle. Mark it, tie a knot at 11 feet or whatever, 9 feet if you just want the 18-foot marking. Tie a knot, go around and spray it. So when I started removing the dirt with the scrape, I pushed it all into one pile. I knew I would need this dirt to fill in some low spots, so I pushed it up in a pile close by, and now I am wanting to fill in these low spots, but I got to get out the roots and rocks. Here I'm just using a 5-gallon bucket with some chicken wire doubled over, and that is what I'm using to screen or filter the dirt. As you can see, it catches the bigger stuff. I dump it off and then get another shovel full. Now I did several of these buckets to fill in some low spots, and it worked great. Left all of the roots and rocks in a pile to the side that I could discard later. And here you can see some of the finer dirt that I got after filtering it or screening it. Turned out pretty good, and it was good to fill the lower spots. I took a couple 2x4s, attached them together, made it very straight, put a hole in it, and put the 2x4 there over the spike there in the center, and then I zip tied a level to it. And I was able to follow this thing around as my son pulled it, and I could see the level. I'd watch the level for the low spots and high spots, and then I marked the low spots with the paint. I used that as a guide to know where to fill in with the dirt before I brought in the sand. So noticing the clouds there in the background, I felt like some rain was coming, so I got out the tractor, which is pretty heavy, the only packer of any sort I had on hand, and I used it to pack the dirt down. Just went back and forth, packing it down, hoping to prevent rain from washing away most of the dirt that I just leveled up. So once I got the dirt as level as I could, I brought in a load of sand. I used this sand not only to fill in a few low spots, but also to act as a barrier between the pool and the dirt. If you notice, there are lots of little small roots sticking up, as well as a few pebbles here and there, things that I just missed with the rake. This sand did a great job at covering that stuff up, making a good barrier there, and protecting the pool. Now this board and level trick worked great. It obviously shows the high spots when it drags sand away, and you can see the low spots there where you need to add some sand. It is not the fix-all. You're definitely going to have to rake and move some sand around until you're satisfied with the end result. Our pool is very smooth on the bottom, and it's all because I spent extra time on this step. This is not the step you want to skip or rush, because once you get just a few inches of water in the bottom of that pool, it is too late. That's when you're going to feel the low spots or high spots, but at that point, it's too late to do anything about it. Now here it's looking a lot better, a lot less low spots and high spots. It's looking pretty smooth. But I wanted to check the level. I purchased a Harbor Freight laser level. I've never used one, but it worked great. And these low spots and high spots, they weren't too bad. It was really close to where it needed to be. I did, however, get out the rake and start moving some sand around and got it to satisfactory for me. I'm a little obsessive compulsive. I know this. But after doing a little more raking, I was able to check for level again and move on to the next step. Next step for me, put a tarp down. This is not the tarp that came with the pool, but I wanted to go ahead and start with a bigger tarp, one that is just added barrier there between the pool liner and the sand. Now, some great helpers are my kids. And if you have kids and you want them to help, give them clear direction on what you want them to do, what your expectations are before you ever get started. It'll be a lot less stressful and a lot less frustration if they know what you expect before you get started. After explaining to my kids that I wanted to spread this tarp all the way across the pad evenly and not disturb the sand or walk on the sand, we got started and it worked out great. They're good listeners and they can follow direction. All right, once we spread this tarp out evenly, I carefully placed several items on it to prevent the wind from blowing it because, you know, it doesn't get windy till you try to lay a tarp out. One thing you need to prepare for is this pool is very heavy. It comes in one big box. It's a very heavy box. We were able to transport it from point A to point B here using our lawnmower. The girls took care of that for me. All right, so this is the Intex Ultra XTR 2-year warranty, 18 foot around and 52 inches deep. Easy setup? Yes. 60 minutes to do it. I don't think we could have done it in 60 minutes. And as you can see, it comes with a sand filter, pool liner, removable ladder, pool frame, and a cover. And it shows 6,981 gallons is what you'll put in it. That'll put it at 46 inches deep. After staking down all four corners of the first tarp, we opened up the pool box and got the tarp that came with it to go under the pool. After centering it up, pulling it tight to get all the wrinkles out, it was time to get out the pool liner and get started spreading it out. Now's the time to determine where you want the pump. Keeping in mind the nearest power supply, this may help you determine where to put the pump. When you decide where you want to put the pump, find the inlet and outlet ports on the pool liner and turn the liner accordingly. Now it's time to spread the pool out. The pool liner is one solid piece, the sides and the bottom all together. Fold the sides inward. Look for the seam at the bottom of the sides, and that's going to be the bottom of the pool. Start pulling that outward all the way around, trying to get as many wrinkles out as possible. Once you have the bottom of the pool centered up and spread out as best you can, it's time to put the top rails or the horizontal bars in the sleeves at the top of the sides. Sliding these top rails into these sleeves was not exactly easy. However, if you're patient and taking your time and you twist them back and forth as you're sliding them through, that does help a little bit. Another helpful hint, keep the top rails in the shade until you need them. We learned the hard way. We didn't try to keep everything in the shade, and as we tried to get started, the top rails were so hot you could not handle them. After leaving them in the shade to cool off for a while, we didn't have any problems. You can see my son there standing in the shade, bringing us top rails as we need them. This is a T-joint. There's one T-joint between every section of top rail. Connect these as you go. You insert the T-joint into the top rail. You can notice the button there on the bottom of the T-joint. Press that in, insert into the top rail, and the button will pop through the hole on the bottom of the top rail. Like I said, connect all the T-joints and the top rails together as you go. They all connect pretty easily, no problems at all, until you get to this last joint. The last joint is the hardest, and I don't have any tips and tricks other than maybe take your break, cool off, drink some ice cold water before you tackle it. Here I've got my daughter pulling from my right, my son's pulling from my left. We're trying to separate that joint so it can go together. It just was not working out. The rails just do not slide very easily within those sleeves. But with a lot of patience, it finally worked. Once you have all of the top rails connected, it's time to attach the legs. Slide the bottom of the leg through the sleeve on the side of the pool. Then insert the top of the leg into the bottom of the T-joint. Now you can attach the foot or the base to the bottom of the leg and then allow it to support that section of the pool. It definitely makes it easier if you have some help. Notice my daughter is going around one way, attaching legs, while my son and I are going the opposite direction. we're only attaching every other leg. It is much easier to attach every other leg and get that top rail supported, and then go back and attach the missing legs. Make sure to pay close attention to the silver strip there on the side of the pool. That strip has the sleeves that you slide the legs into. You just need to make sure it is not twisted anywhere around the pool. Once we had the sides up and the legs in place, I got inside the pool and started kicking the side of the pool, pulling the wrinkles and creases out of the bottom of the liner. Then my daughter and I, using pads to protect our knees, got down and started pushing the wrinkles out, starting at the center and going outward. The goal is to get as many wrinkles out as possible before you add any water. Once the water is in the bottom, even a small amount, it really holds those wrinkles in place and it's hard to get them out. We then started adding water with the water hose. Not fast, just a little bit at a time, and we kept working until we got all the wrinkles out of the bottom of the pool. This is time consuming and tedious and rough on the back and the knees, but it is well worth the time spent when your pool is full of water and you feel no wrinkles in the bottom. The kids could not wait to get in the water, and I could not deny them the opportunity considering how much they helped me get this thing squared away. The water was ice cold, but they got in and had a good time for a little while. It was a great feeling knowing that this thing was up, it was complete, the wrinkles were out of the bottom, and we had an order of water coming the next day. So this is what the pool looked like on the outside, and we were prepared to get the water. I had enough water in the bottom to hold it steady, hold it down. I felt good about it, and then disaster struck. All right, guys, so as you can see, the pool went up. It went up smooth, I think as smooth as it could possibly go for us. Everything was great, and then the storm came. It's a very short clip of the storm, and you'll hear a nervous laugh. That's me. It's just one of those things, we overcame, but before we overcame, we had to go through it. Check it out. Try with me. So this is what we're left with after the storm. What a mess. We removed all the top rails, we removed the legs and the T-joints. Now here you see a pile of T-joints laying there to the left. The legs and top rails, they're all fine, but the T-joints, there were 8 broken ones that we had to replace. All the rest survived, so we're very fortunate there. Tragedy, turned out okay. We're enjoying the pool now. Absolutely loved it all summer, last summer after we got it installed, and looking forward to using it again this year. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great day.